Hello and welcome to today's session. My name is Sabine Matharu. I am one of the co-founders of the EmpowerMe Hub, and today with me I have the amazing Vicky Midwood, who is going to talk about high performance starts with health. Before we dive into all the juicy things that Vicky has prepared for us today, just a couple of housekeeping rules. If you aren't in the Hub yet and you would love to know how you get into the Hub, I will leave a link as well, because we have prepared some additional resources. So if you're already in the Hub, you will receive a workbook, you'll have the replay, and you have so many more workshops as well available. We do everything from leadership to well-being to homework, life balance, and entrepreneurship. So you'll find a collateral of resources. Every month we have 1 or 2 live speakers, and we also have planning sessions, and all the experts are inside the EmpowerMe Hub. So you might want to check it out. It's an amazing space. So I'll make sure we'll leave a link for you as well. So a quick introduction to Vicky. Good morning. Good to see you.
Morning.
Hope you're well. Yeah, early start. So this is really for you, and I think a lot of people are in this stage where we're running empty. There is this hidden burnout, and although we may not want to admit it, but I think a lot of people are burnt out without knowing or without wanting to know about it, right? And it's just say, yeah, well, it's just stress, it's temporary, it's going to go away. So I'm sure you're going to talk about this, and I'm very excited. So a bit of background. Vicky's been around the block for a long time. She is a pro when it comes to health and well-being. She is a human health optimizer and addiction eliminator. We might have another conversation about addiction sometime as well, because that's another area to discuss, and it's something that fits in the Hub. And you're also an inspiring health coach, consultant, speaker, and podcaster. You have a podcast called The Raw Chatter. Yeah, we'll link that inside the Hub so people have that extra resource. And you've been on the scene for over 33 years inside of the health and wellness space, and you are consistently busting the myth and the BS around human health and addiction based on science fact, not science fiction, and personal experience to transform the health and wellness of business owners, CEOs, so that they can thrive. And also for professionals, because we work also with people who work in a 9-to-5 job. We work with whole teams, with organizations. So again, something that if you are working in a team, or if you are a leader of some sort and you would like the Hub to be a base for your employees or your team or a colleague, please invite them in. We are very open to have those conversations. We can cater for a wide range of capabilities, and we have huge capacity as well to support teams and organizations as well. So with that said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'll put in the link to the Hub as well. And I'll just hand over to you, Vicky. You take it away, and I will just go into the background. We'll listen in and manage the chat. If there are questions, please type them in. If you are watching the replay, there is also an opportunity to still put in the questions. We'll come back to you, and we'll try to answer as best as we can.
Brilliant. Good. If you can share my slides, that would be great.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you. Excellent. So thank you for that lovely introduction. I am one person who is a northerner, and I like to crack on and get stuff done. And that's the point. A lot of high achievers are very much people who want to get things done, have a to-do list as long as their arm, and are always go, go, go. And that's kind of part of the problem. And so really what I want to discuss with you guys is to just help you to understand why you may not be performing or feeling as good as perhaps you used to, especially as you're getting older. So it's a wake-up call to start with. In the time that it takes to run this talk, which is going to be about 40 minutes, 5 people will have had a heart attack, and less than half of those will survive. Now let that sink in for a moment. As we're sitting here now, that is happening. Most will have missed or dismissed the signs, and for women, they will have potentially no signs, or the signs will make them think that it's something else. Now, if you're looking at that picture and going, hang on, is that Vicky? Yes, it is. And that is me the day in hospital that I actually did have a heart attack. And I am one of the lucky ones. I was a survivor, but I may well not have been, because that heart attack was nothing to do with my fitness level. As Sabine shared with you, I've been in the world of health and wellness for 33 years, starting out as a fitness instructor, an exercise instructor. Exercise, fitness, and health is part of my lifestyle. So it was nothing to do with my fitness level, but it was everything to do with my stress. And when we talk about stress, it's emotional, it's physical, and it's mental. It's not just one or the other, it's all three. So this is, again, something that I really want to hit home, because the point of me doing this is there are so many people who think about putting themselves and their health last on the list because business comes first, workload comes first. And I think this is a very poignant slide. You can have 1,000 problems in life or in business or at work until you have a health problem. And then that takes over. And I am in the realms of helping you to prevent yourself going down the path of serious health issues, because you are your biggest business asset, and your health is your biggest asset. It is the one thing that we can do a lot to improve. So these are a list of top health problems that are causing issues for pretty much everybody. And these are increasing, not decreasing, even though we have more science, more knowledge, more medication, right? It's still on the increase. And so you can go down that list. You don't need me to read it out. The bottom one, you may be wondering, what is FLC syndrome? And that means feeling like crap syndrome, because that is often how people tell me that they do feel. So let's have a look at what actually is health. Now, if you go Google it, there are actually multiple definitions of health, and they've changed over the years. But this is the definition that I prefer, and it's the one that I think is potentially worthwhile taking on board in today's world, because it is a dynamic balance of physical, emotional, mental, social, spiritual, and environmental factors. Now, about 50 years ago, the World Health Organization gave it a much more simple definition. It was basically the lack of illness. And unfortunately, I think a lot of us still think like that, to our detriment. And the problem that we have, because we've got an increase in all of those diseases that you saw the list of there, is really because we are disconnected from our body. The majority of people don't actually know how they work. And that's across the board, right? From kids to grandkids, we don't actually know how the human body works and how the brain and the body and all of the organ systems work together. And there is misinformation everywhere on health. Now, this has absolutely been exacerbated by things like TikTok and influencers who are not specialists, but they are very good at sounding so confident that it's a challenge to not believe that what they're telling you is correct. But most of the time, it isn't. As I said, we've got an overuse of medications to fix symptoms. But as all of you know, think about something in your home, right? If you have a dripping tap, if you just keep on turning the tap off harder and harder to change the drip, it is going to work, isn't it? For a while. But where is the real problem? Well, potentially you need to put in a new washer. You need to go to the root of why is that tap still dripping, instead of constantly just fixing the symptoms. But that is what we do. Why? Because it's fast. We feel as if we're doing something. What we don't necessarily realize is that if you fix one symptom without looking at root cause, you're going to get another symptom that shows up because your body's trying to tell you something. And if you didn't listen to the first one, it'll go over there with a different symptom that you may not connect to the same root cause. And the other issue that we have is that we believe that if you've got one problem, then there just must be one solution. If you've got depression, take an antidepressant. If you've got, it's the kind of like the physical issue. If you've got a broken leg, well, just fix the broken leg. But it doesn't work like that, especially when it comes to emotional, spiritual, and to some degree, physical wellness. So here's a question for you. Why are you really exhausted? Now, I'm sure most of you are going to say, well, it's because I've got so much to do and I'm always against the clock and I've got kids and a home and family and da, 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 da. And yes, but I'm talking about on a physiological level. It's adrenal dysfunction. When we are consistently under stress, your adrenals are being asked to keep producing adrenaline and other things almost constantly. We have a gut and brain disconnection. Now, I'm delighted that there is so much more talk about the gut-brain connection, but a lot of people don't genuinely understand what that means. And there's a lot of disconnection between our gut and our brain because, unfortunately, we separate them. We talk about physical health and mental health as being separate, even though they're not. How do I know they're not? Well, the last time I looked in the mirror, my head was part of my body. And that's how we know they're not separate. We also have so many people who are literally living day on day with a blood sugar roller coaster. You need to grab something fast, something that you think is going to give you energy because you're feeling exhausted. And that creates this crazy roller coaster of energy dips and troughs. And we keep going back for the fix. And then, of course, to add on to that, a lot of people are struggling with sleep disruption, whether that's struggling to get to sleep or to stay asleep, or to multiple times they're waking up and then often not dropping off until the early hours when it's nearly time to get up. And maybe you can relate to this. And perhaps if you have printed out the workbook or you've got it, you'll be able to see that I've asked you some questions around this. So let's look at why. Why are these things happening? Because it's great to know that they are, but why? So what are the top energy depleters? Well, I'm going to start over at the picture of the fast food there, because food is a big problem, and it absolutely is. And yes, convenience. And do I buy, ready packed stuff? Sometimes, yes, I do. I'm not a great cook and I don't enjoy particularly preparing food from scratch. However, these foods, if we are living on them constantly, are going to absolutely create that sugar roller coaster. And you are going to find that you are tired. Now, the majority of these foods taste good. They have been made to be addictive. Let that land for a moment, right? These have been chemically manufactured to keep you going back for more. The exact amount of sweet to salt, to the texture in your mouth, to the how much crunch is on the crisp, to the actual amount of flavoring. Billions is spent on making these foods addictive. So know that. And it also means, though, that they are very energy dense, which means that if you are feeling shattered and tired and you think, oh, I just need to pick me up, they're going to give you a lot of energy. But if you're not actually physically doing a great deal, that energy is not going to be utilized. And this can be why over time, our weight can go up. And it's not because you're eating tons of food. It's just because you're eating maybe one or two of these foods on a daily basis. They've become part of your diet. And over time, they are going to have a detrimental effect, especially around your waistline. And these are the biggest contributors to this blood sugar roller coaster, which literally leaves you exhausted by the end of the day. The other thing is sitting for hours at our desk. When we are on a screen, it is depleting our energy levels fast. Now, it's different. Back in the day when we were utilizing typewriters and things like that to write things, or maybe we were doing stuff by hand, we didn't necessarily have the same energy depletion, but screens, we know, science fact, deplete our energy very, very quickly. The other thing that depletes our energy is not allowing ourselves to rest. And this is taking time out to maybe do a little bit of reflection. When do you actually stop in your day and go, okay, where am I? Let me just do a quick reset. What have I already done? What do I still need to do? And if we don't take those little breaks because we've got to push through because we're against the clock, we are not allowing our nervous system to reset so that we can go again. It's a bit like you literally expecting your phone to keep on working, even though it's telling you there's no battery. You would go and recharge your phone to carry on for the rest of the day. Yet we don't do that for ourselves. And then another real energy depleter is alcohol, I'm afraid. And I am not the alcohol police. Yes, I do not drink, and I haven't for 20 years. It's my 20th year this year of being alcohol-free. But I'm not totally against it. However, know that it will affect your sleep. Absolutely, it will. And it will increase your anxiety. And when we have poor sleep and when we're anxious, those two things are going to make us feel pretty exhausted. Now, these are the obvious ones. But now let's look at the not so obvious ones. The hidden stressors that drain your energy. Decision making. And this is what happens when we are starting our day. Yeah. When we have to make a lot of decisions, our battery literally is depleted by the end of the day, which is often why the best time to make a major decision is first thing in the morning. And I'm using that battery analogy because we get it. It's literally your battery is full when you wake up. You're hot on your decisions. Your mind is working well. You're focused. Hopefully, if you've had a good night's sleep, that is. But every single decision that you make is depleting the battery. And that we make 36,000, let me get it right, 36,000 decisions in a day. Now, it doesn't feel like it, does it? But we're constantly deciding what to do. And every single one of those depletes your energy. Then if you get this going on, consistent interruptions where you're having to make even more decisions and you're having to break off, then you are going to find your focus will drop. You will feel demotivated. A task that should take you maybe 20 minutes because you're being constantly interrupted is taking you longer. And this is why I'm not a fan of your time being managed and checked and you having to, I know there are some places where you literally have to put in a timed task. Any disruption that breaks you off from what you are doing means that you can add on at least another 20 to 40 minutes onto that task, which is crazy, which means you never feel on top of your to-do list. We also got this one, trying to be perfect. And this is something that a lot of people who expect high peak performance from themselves and from others get caught up in. Right? We need to be better than, we need to be perfect. And unfortunately, and some of you will know this, and maybe that you're living this on a daily basis, trying to be perfect often leads to procrastination, right? It's not perfect, so we put it off. We spend ages maybe doing a mind dump and how can we change it and how can we make it better? Sometimes it can also lead to paralysis where you literally just don't know what to do. If we can let go of being perfect, it will help us tremendously with our energy levels. And people pleasing is also a huge one that maybe you don't think of as absolutely depleting your emotional and mental capacity. But it absolutely does. When we are on the outside putting on this mask of being organized and polite and productive and helpful to everybody, but actually inside, sometimes we're seething, sometimes we feel resentful, sometimes we feel lonely. And this is the stuff that burnout is made of. Also, this one, I mentioned it at the start. We have to be on all the time, or we think we do, especially as women, because usually we have family or parents, whether it's kids or nieces and nephews, or we have got a partner and a household and work. And so there's this kind of guilt if you're not always doing something or looking after somebody. And unfortunately, we tend to be bottom of our list. And then I mentioned this idea that we wind down in the evening and it's just become kind of the norm. It's not in every country, but absolutely in the UK, it definitely is a thing. And now I'm going to touch on culture because the culture that you're in is so, so important. If you see overachievement as an identity, then you're going to struggle looking after yourself and not falling into that trap of people pleasing and perfectionism. We also come from a culture, a lot of us, where rest is demonized. I'll sleep when I'm dead. You might have heard that as some kind of badge of honor that you can get away with functioning on 4 hours sleep. Well, you might think you can, but your body is going to take the toll. And if your body takes your toll, that is going to affect your brain. Remember what I said, they're not separate. There's this pressure to push through. Everybody's on a deadline. And just in general, we seem to be expecting everyone to to perform more, to do more. And all of these, as it says at the bottom there, are all in the name of production, performance, and profits. But hello, we're humans. We are not built for success. We are built for survival. And this is why treating ourselves in this way is not helpful in any area of health. We call it stress. Our body calls it a crisis. Now, here's an example of what's actually going on. So this is what I call the fatigue loop. We have this crazy stress overload. And as I said, it's emotional, it's mental, as well as physical. And what we do is we have a maladaptive stress response. We push through, we turn to food, or we turn to alcohol, or we distract ourselves on the phone, or we're shopping, or something. We take our mind off it, maybe by caring for somebody else or doing something. Maybe it's over-exercising. And this is going to affect what happens in our cells and how they then reproduce, remake, recharge, etc. Your cells are vital for your energy. And I'm not going to go into the science of this. I mean, I could do, but this is not a science-based kind of talk here. But you've probably heard of ATP in your cells, and that's responsible for energy production. I'm taking you back maybe to biology at school now. But if our cells aren't functioning well, if our metabolism is being compromised because we're not getting in the right nutrients, because we've got an overload of adrenaline and cortisol and other chemicals going through our system, we are going to, by default, have decreased energy production. Just a fact, right? This is science. This is not you not being good enough. This is not you being slack. This is not you not being focused. This is just how it works. And this is an example here of just what that stress effect does. So we've got an increase in the stress hormone cortisol, but also adrenaline and a number of other things, which can leave us feeling irritable and anxious. Often we have trouble sleeping, and that is critical in terms of how your body actually feels and functions. It affects, for example, how your body tells you whether it's hungry or not. And we know that people who get little sleep tend to be always picking and looking for something, because it absolutely does affect your hunger and your full up signals. You know, that creates a shift in our metabolism. And when we get a shift in metabolism, we can often turn to comfort eating, we can turn to weight gain, and it doesn't have to be food. It could be alcohol. It could be distracting with our phone, with gambling. It could be shopping. It doesn't have to be food. I've put food on here because it's easy. It's readily available, and most places have it very easily accessible 24/7. So we tend to the stuff that's available and easy. But what it leads to is the stuff there that's over on the right-hand side of your screen. It leads to inflammation. And inflammation basically is the kind of precursor to every single illness and health issue that we have. And when we talk about inflammation, it's not just in the body, it's on a cellular level. It's in your brain too. And so you can see there, you don't need me to read it out, but basically stress affects every single part of you. Food and drink can become your VIX. And this is what I need you to try and take on board, right? Understanding how humans work is the first step. And maybe I should put that as the first point and not the last one. But we are prone to burnout. As I said, we are not here. We're not designed for success. We're designed for survival. We are also prone to anxiety and energy dips, and we are prone to sleep problems depending on what is going on in our lives. But they are meant to be cycles that we dip in and out of. They're not meant to be the norm, and we're not meant to have chronic stress or poor sleep or physical pain. We are hopefully striving to be able to function and feel good and create a business and a lifestyle that we enjoy. So you've optimized your business, and now it's time to optimize your biology, right? And I've touched on this already. This is the science stuff. We need to improve our metabolic function and our cellular health if we are going to have more energy and be able to function at our peak for most of the time. You're not going to be able to do it all of the time, so let go of that expectation. It's not how humans work. Now, this is just a quick picture to show you that what tends to happen in the Western world is that we look at the body, then we look at organ systems, and then we look at organs. So we kind of tend to go top down, especially in allopathic or conventional medicine. But as a functional and integrative health medicine practitioner, what I look at is what's going on at a cellular level, what's going on at the tissue level, right? What's, for example, is happening in your brush borders in your gut? What is going on then in your organs? And how is that affecting what is going on in your brain? So is it one or the other? No, we need to look bottom down, and we also need to look from the top down too. Sorry, bottom up and top down. My point is this. It's not one or the other. It should be and, right? Do we need sometimes medication to help us? Yes, we do, so that we can then take the right steps to help our body to heal itself. And this is a key point. Your body as a human is designed incredibly. It is like a finely tuned orchestra to work together in harmony. That doesn't mean it's balanced all of the time. Think about when you listen to an orchestra, sometimes you hear a particular section taking over while another section is very quiet. And it's how your body is meant to work. But everybody knows what everybody else is doing. It's all interconnected. We've lost that connection. And what my aim is just to help you to understand a little bit more that if you overdo things in one area, then it's going to have a knock-on effect in others. So we need a big shift to help ourselves. We need a shift in culture, as I've already touched on. We need a shift in attitude, in helping ourselves to recognize that just pushing through and doing what we've always done is not going to help us to feel better. It will definitely help us to feel worse over time, which means we've got to change our expectations. And we've got to put in different practices. Now, it doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to take a lot of time. So I'm going to share with you some things that we can do. Stop punishing your body and your brain with food that doesn't serve you. And that means these types of foods should be the majority of what we are taking in and nourishing our bodies with. Do the other foods have a place? Yes, of course they do, right? If you think that you're never going to eat those fun foods, and I call them fun foods because they're not really food, then that's ridiculous, right? You are going to have cake at somebody's birthday party and it's fine. But we have to shift this grabbing at convenience all the time if we can. It's cheaper to make food from scratch. It's more nutritious because you know what's gone into it, and you will feel and function better. We also have to reclaim our nervous system, and that means stop pushing through. If your body says you need a break and you need a rest, you need to take it. We need to practice breathing, and I'm going to touch on breathing again, but this box breathing is a really quick, simple way to help your whole system relax and to just give you a pause. You know, and one of the things that I do is just, and I actually sent it as a picture to my client, is to just literally stop, pause, breathe. And if you do that box breath, just literally for 5 to 6 breaths, that's all it takes. It's not even a minute. You will feel significantly better. We also have to address those emotional triggers. So this is getting to know yourself. And I said earlier, most humans don't know how they work. Most people don't know themselves that well. Why? Because we rarely take the time to find out about who am I? How do I function? What really lights me up? What really hacks me off? How do I genuinely think about this? Not the answer that I give because I don't want to be judged, but what's the honest truth about stuff? Because if we can be truthful with ourselves, then we're going to have much more of a clue as to how to handle the stuff that triggers us. Do you get frustrated but pretend all is well? Right? Can we try and swap frustration perhaps for appreciation? Because this is a little, I don't know if you can see that, but this is what is going on with your heart when you are frustrated. It's going all over the place, right? And when somebody gets an irregular heartbeat, that can also bring on a sense of anxiety, which can then bring on a panic attack. Why? Often because we're frustrated, but we don't say it. But if we're appreciating things, and if we can recognize more of what's going well and not always homing in on what is not, then the chances are we're going to be able to make an informed decision from a place of being calm. Now, this is just, I've just thrown this in for those left brain people who like numbers and stuff. Because I know as business owners and as professionals, if you're working for somebody else, there is this like performance and productivity first. So I've put this in just to help you to recognize that you don't have to do massive big things. Those 3 things that I've just touched on are not huge. They're not things that are going to take a lot of time. But if we can change the culture, then these are the kind of figures that companies who are doing this are getting. In other words, financially, it is a good investment, as well as emotionally and mentally. It's good for everybody to try and put our health first. And so let me ask you this. When's the last time you and your health did come first? And this is just recent figures that we've looked at. 47% of working women are juggling a lot of things, as I've already said, which means that it makes sense that your health does kind of come last on the list. But what we've got to help you to recognize is if you're going to be really helpful and useful to the people that you love, you need to be functioning well. You need to be okay. If you've got people relying on you, it's vital that you are putting your health and well-being at the top of your list. So high performance isn't about pushing harder. It is about functioning better. We want more mental clarity. We want consistent energy. We want calm confidence, and we want boundaries without burnout. Now, that's what I think of when I think of high performance. And maybe you've got something to add to that. But if we want to do that, we have to do this. We have to let go of people pleasing. We have to let go of trying to be perfect. We got to start being honest and recognize that if we strive to do our best, if we strive to be excellent, then that's pretty darn good. And it will allow us to move on and get to the next thing. This is an important thing that we need to also do, right? And this is a crucial one. A lot of people don't recognize how they breathe. And if I say to you now, are you a nose breather or a mouth breather? Most people are not sure. But what I can tell you is when you're on your phone, a lot of people, and you're going to start doing this now, if you're going back into an office scenario, you're going to look at people on their phone, and a lot of the times they have their mouth open. It's the same when they're on the computer screen, which means that they're likely to be breathing more through their mouth than through their nose. Why does this matter? Well, it's huge when it comes to energy, okay? And this is something that I want to shout from the rooftops. You can see the list here, right? When you breathe through your nose, you get better sleep. It means that you are actually getting more oxygen into your body and, crucially, your brain. And why is that important? Well, that is going to increase the nitric oxide production. And nitric oxide is absolutely crucial for every single cell to work well. Remember, I said cells are the things that matter when it comes to energy production. Nitric oxide is absolutely vital for ATP production, our energy production. And so if you're breathing through your mouth, you're not getting the nitric oxide that you need. And you can see the list there of things that are going to potentially be an issue if you are a mouth breather. So this is something that you don't have to spend ages on it, but just start being more mindful of breathing through your nose. You can breathe in through your nose. You can breathe out through your mouth, or you can breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. And you can just practice doing it. And just literally breathe in and try and imagine, if you will, that you're filling up your lungs right to the bottom with oxygen. And then just let it out. And it's really simple. It's just... And as you let it out, you'll start to find... Yes, you'll feel calmer. It's not quite the box breathing, but it's similar. A 5-count breath in through your nose and a 5-count breath out with a sigh, letting your shoulders drop. If you do that 6 times, that equals 1 minute. And most people are overbreathers because they're trying to get in more oxygen. But when we overbreathe, that can often lead to more anxiety and more stress. The other thing is, if you consciously breathe through your nose, you're more likely to have better posture, because it's hard to take a deep breath in when we're crunched over like this. Your rib cage hasn't got room to expand. So if you're sitting up and you're breathing in through your nose, you're now improving your posture, you're improving your lung capacity, and you're improving your energy. Doesn't take any extra time out. Maybe practice it after every task you've completed. Give yourself 1 minute to practice nasal breathing. Regular movement and exercise is absolutely crucial. Does that mean you have to go to the gym and spend an hour? No, it just means, can you get a walk outside in nature most days for around about 20 to 30 minutes? Ideal time to go for a walk after you've eaten, helps with blood glucose levels, helps to stop that afternoon crash at around about 3 or 4 o'clock. Do we need to lift weights as women as we're getting older? Absolutely, yes. Do they have to be weights like in the picture like that? No, you can use bands, you can use body weight, but yes, the amount of muscle that we have determines our longevity. Again, back to science, fact. As women, particularly post-menopause and going through menopause, to be quite honest, perimenopause, we need to be swapping out all of the cardio that maybe you enjoyed and could get away with in your 20s and 30s. When you're in your 40s, 50s and beyond, we need to switch the focus to more on weights and heavy, ladies, not little 1 kilos, right? Proper weights is going to be much more helpful, hence body weight, right? Because if you're doing a press up, a full one, you ain't pressing 1 kilo. So really focus. Do you have to do an hour? No. Can you do 10 minutes? Yes. Consistency, regularity beats time every time. What are the benefits? Consistent high performance when you exercise regularly. More energy, therefore higher output. Better memory, sharper thinking. You don't need me to read out slides. My point is, there's a lot of benefits. Working in with your energy rhythms. Now, you may have heard of circadian rhythm. This is something that, again, we haven't got time to go into the depths of, but our bodies work on a rhythm, right? We work with every single organ and every single cell has a rhythm. And ideally, those rhythms should go into sync. And when we work with the rhythm, getting up at the same time, going to bed at the same time, eating our meals at the same time, your body just functions better. It likes regularity. It likes routine. It just works better. Most of you will know if you're a night owl or if you're a morning person, work with that. Don't try and shift yourself into something that you're not necessarily. Work with your rhythm. The benefits, you're going to reduce stress and burnout without a shadow of a doubt. If you find that you get a routine and a pattern of eating and sleeping and exercising, you're just going to feel better on every single level. And then make it easy for yourself to eat well. I've touched on why eating those fast convenience foods is not helpful. They are just probably the biggest energy sapper because they're the easiest thing to turn to, and it's the one that most of us do go to. So start to have some raw nuts available by your desk rather than crisps or chocolate. Start to have a bowl of fruit that looks attractive rather than going again to, something that you can grab like crisps or popcorn. Try and drink water as well as. I'm not saying you can't have your tea and your coffee, but know that they will over time sap your energy. So try and get in enough hydration. Hydration is crucial when it comes to how our brain works and to how our mood is and our energy. And often we do not drink enough. Why? Because we forget. Why? Because we're busy. So setting an alarm to go off every 2 hours to just remind you to drink a glass of water is a really simple solution. Try and prepare at dinner. If you're making your own dinner, prepare enough to take with you for lunch the next day. It doesn't have to be that you have to do this like massive food prep every weekend and make a big deal out of it, but just be sensible. Or maybe you could cook enough for 2 or 3 lunches if you are cooking. So if you're like me, I do like to batch cook because I don't like cooking every day, but then I don't have to think about it. So think about ways that you can help yourself to just eat better. And it doesn't have to be profound. I'm not expecting 3-star Michelin meals every day. But this is crucial because it just, again, it will help you with them energy dips. You will make decisions better. You'll be more kind of clued up on what is going on. Why? Because you're getting the nutrients that your body and your brain need to function really, really well. And this is just a picture of a lady who I helped to implement some of these things. And I just wanted to share that she's a massively busy dentist. She has got 2 practices with a team under her. She also lectures in universities. She's got 2 kids and a mum who's ill, right? So she fits all of what we've said about somebody who's pushing through. And she did push through for a long time, not recognizing burnout until she was literally constantly in pain in her neck, in her shoulders. She was getting heart palpitations, so much so that she ended up in A&E. Now, what did we do? Well, we got her to take these 8 steps, and I'm inviting you to look at these. We've been through them. They're straightforward. I got her to practice breath work in between clients while she was waiting at traffic lights. I got her to practice getting up at the same time daily and putting a curfew on bedtime. Her mum used to want to stay up late at night, and I had to encourage her to say, no, you have to be clear. If you want to look after your mum well, you have to look after you first. She got into taking her own food in and eating at regular meal times, which meant that she said no to her staff putting client appointments in and squeezing in. She was clear on her boundaries. She started weight training. Now, she didn't start with 2 or 3 times a week. She started with once. And as she got into a habit of going every week at the same time, she added in a second. And now, after a year, she's going 3 times. Walking. Again, she started to walk part of the way to work. She started to walk home when she could. We aimed for 7,000 steps. Did we start with that? No, we got her to get in 4,000 and then it went up. Now she's regularly doing 10,000. Why? Because she enjoys it. Her whole attitude has changed. Maintaining those clear boundaries is something that we had to do a lot of work on, especially around work commitments, because she was the person who would say yes to everything. Not only does she run her businesses, as I've said, but she also has set up a couple of dental associations, communities, and so she does a lot of networking. And so helping her to say no to the stuff that she didn't need to say yes to anymore was a challenge, and we're still working on it, but it's a work in progress. I got her to get outside, right? Even if it's just for 10 minutes, get some sunlight on your skin is crucial. Vitamin D is massive for energy, as is magnesium, by the way. And these are the things that a lot of the time we get misdiagnosed with depression. It's often a lack of vitamin D and a lack of magnesium. Goes back to eating real food and getting in nutrients. And also living on purpose, right? What was her purpose? And when we know what our purpose is, it helps us to recognize that we owe it to that purpose to look after ourselves so that we can fulfill it. So here's a quick recap. High performance starts with health. If you want to reclaim your energy, your focus, and your fire, we need to look at a biochemical reset. We need to look at your gut brain, your hormones, your neurotransmitters, your blood sugar. That means the food, the exercise, the movement, the breathing. We need to let go of emotional stuff that is keeping us stuck. And that means letting go of perfection, people pleasing, and guilt for not always being on for everybody. And then crucially, we need to have a lifestyle upgrade. And that means simple things like just being aware of what are your habits, putting boundaries around the stuff, start saying no to stuff that you genuinely don't want to do. Work on your breathing. I can't emphasize how important it is to become a nasal breather if you're not, and get in that movement and quality sleep. Are these things that will take time? Yes. Give yourself the time to embed good habits, baby steps, not great grand gestures that you can't stick to. And telling yourself now is not the right time because I'm too busy, I'm too tired, or I've got too much going on. Well, just ask yourself this. When has life ever slowed down and handed you the perfect moment? The perfect moment is right now. You can start with some of those things that I've explained to you. Because as I said, high performance is not about pushing harder. It is about more mental clarity, consistent energy, feeling more calm, feeling more confident, and avoiding burnout by being really strict on your boundaries. So I'm going to invite you to make that shift today. Put your health first. Because when you prioritize your biggest asset, your health, I can promise you it is empowering. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you have taken away some stuff that you are going to actually implement. And if you have got the workbook, if you are in the hub, you can kind of write down your little plan of what you will implement. And if you do have any questions, then I will be more than happy to answer them.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Vicky. This has been really eye-opening, even for myself.
Hey.
I have been on a well-being journey myself, but you do tend to get into those bad habits.
Yeah.
Definitely a coffee after lunch, or a little snack, something sweet when you're feeling low. I think that's just really, easy, very easy to slip into. And you've just shown alternatives, like having some nuts or some fruits. And I think it's really, really important to remember. And water. Don't drink enough water.
Yes. And also movement. It literally, when we move our body, we change energetically what is going on. And it sounds like moving is the last thing you want to do when you don't have energy, but is the quickest way to re-energize you. And that can mean as simple as if you sat at your desk, just start windmilling your arms or swinging them, right? It doesn't have to be dramatic. Try standing up and sitting down like you're doing a pretend squat in your seat. And I can guarantee you will have more energy. Why? Because you're getting the blood flowing, you're getting the circulation going, and it takes minutes. It doesn't have to take, longer than like 1 to 2 minutes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do get some tingling feet when I sit for too long. So yeah,
body telling you, it's going, hey,
absolutely. Loads of amazing insights. I left some notes as well under the video, where you can hear more about Vicky. She is amazing. I'm just so honored. I feel so honored to actually collaborate with her and working on the EmpowerMe Hub. And it's just really, really awesome. And I think it deserves a little bit of an introduction now as to, where can you now get some more support? Because obviously you can listen to this video and then think, oh, this is all good and well. But then obviously Vicky does help clients, as we saw with the busy dentist, and was able to help her implement and go through with this, because that's the thing. It's about accountability, it's about having someone who gives you a step-by-step guide and really helps you implement. So I think that's one of the reasons why we have created the EmpowerMe Hub. So I'm just going to share my screen. I think I'm going to grab my entire PowerPoint. Vicky, just double check if you can see this okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and the slide is moving as well.
Yep.
Good. Fantastic. So we're in the right place. So I mean, this is exactly what you were talking about. We whole humans, we encounter so many different things, from stress to burnout to lack of motivation. And you've talked about the reasons why as well: anxiety, frustration. And then also inside an organization, we may be battling the system. Maybe we have to deal with toxic culture, politics. And we may feel in a career we're stuck and there may be no way out. So that goes beyond now your physical well-being. Now it's also your mental well-being and your career leadership type of role as well. We may face fears, economic fears, financial fears, there's many fears, right? So all of these things impact very heavily on performance and health at work and also in our home lives. And that can have a ripple effect to our friends and family, right? So that's how we look at things as a whole human. Now, this is the reason why we have created an entire bundle of different, we brought together different speakers. We talk about well-being, we talk about self-leadership, we talk about accelerating progress of your career using confidence, leadership skills, and so on. Oh, that sounds like my phone. Good timing.
Shows it's live.
Yeah, that's live. I was thinking, normally my phone never rings, just now. So anyway, we talk about so many different areas of life, because we understand it's just one. We are whole human, and we need more than just one area of support, not just career, not just leadership, not just well-being. So we brought it all under one cohesive platform, because we believe that every human being wants to do something meaningful, deserves the opportunity to grow, and also have a purpose in life. So how do we master those life lessons? I think it's important, because I've been in management consulting, in training, in leadership coaching for as many years as you, Vicky, in your profession, right? And it always comes down to having someone who helps you see, or is already a few steps ahead of you and holds you accountable. And also, how do we create sustainable change? We need to have a fun environment. So these are the things that I picked up over and over again, as to how do people sustainably change without feeling overwhelmed, without going back into the old habits again. So as I said, we have a holistic training available that enables career growth, that includes all other areas of life. It's fun, interactive, it's very implementation oriented. When you come into the hub, you have a clear pathway goals assessment, which is all around. We have like a whole holistic assessment for you. And we have accountability sessions. And then, of course, this is the most important thing. You are actually in control of your career. Whether your employer is paying for this or not, you can just come and hop on the membership. Or maybe you have a team around you that may be beneficial. You can speak to your seniors and your manager to come and have a look as well. We can have that conversation and get them access. We have a free trial available as well. So it's very, very easy to have a look into the hub and see what we're providing. And of course, this is big. Shared experiences. We have this community. Other people are actually on the same journey as you. We are all going through these motions together, and we can share. We can laugh. We can, of course, share when we don't have such a good day, and get some insights and some inspiration along the way. So these are some of the things that we cover, mainly these 9 elements. We've recently also added entrepreneurship, so that's coming in as well. We're always adding new speakers. We love the feedback of our members and see what else they would like to see, right? So we've got obviously career aspects, we've got well-being aspects, leadership, home life and work-life balance as well. So this is what it looks like on the inside. We've got the community. You can ask questions, get peer support and accountability through our discussion thread. Then we have a calendar. You will see there are live sessions happening every month, and you can just chime in. Every other week we have a get started session, so you can come and join us. You can ask us questions. We're real people, and we want to help you as well. So it's not just go and watch a bunch of videos and then you do nothing with it. No, we actually come together. We have discussions. We have round table discussions. We have networking events as well. And sometimes we bring in challenges, just amazing things just to keep it fun and flowing as well. And then you have a classroom where all the replays of all the trainings are stored. So if you do miss it, or you are not around, or you're traveling, or you want to catch up, or even if you're around the other side of the world, you can catch up there as well, because you've got an app you can log into. So it's really, really flexible. And inside of each of the training components, we would have something that you can listen to as well as watch as well. So obviously some people learn better just listening to something. And when you're obviously on the run, you might just want to have it in your ear and listen. That's fine as well. Then we also have a workbook that you can download in most cases. We have key takeaways written up if you don't have a lot of time, so you can just go through them as well. And then there are links and also question threads if you want to ask questions to the speakers, or you want more resources. The speakers leave more links. You can also book coaching sessions inside the hub, and other training programs, retreats and things like this for discounted rates as well. So again, you have real access to the speakers inside the hub, which is really, really beautiful. So you can join today. You would start with a free 7-day trial. This is available right now. If you're watching this not available anymore, then I'm sorry, because we do change from time to time. We do give some free trials, but right now, as you're seeing this, in the next couple of days, there will be this 7-day free trial. And when you come in, you can join straight into a quest if you like. So there's like a bit of a treasure hunt that will show you around the entire EmpowerMe Hub as well. So if you are ready, join us. Here's the link. This is Vicky's link here. You can join through Vicky. And yeah, you definitely have also 50% off for life right now, because it's such an affordable investment at the moment. We will move up with the price as we are growing stronger and stronger, and we have more content. So right now is actually a brilliant time to come and join. Maybe Vicky, you're already inside. Maybe you can just say a few words about what you think, how's the hub growing and how do you like it?
Yes, I think what I want to add on to that is that when you go into some of these hubs, it can seem a little bit overwhelming. But what I like about the EmpowerMe Hub is that there's real clarity on where stuff is, and you can literally just click on the one thing that you feel you need help with in and of that moment. And I think that's such a simple and easy way of utilizing it. Most people are familiar now with apps and stuff, but what I think is great is that you can actually go in and ask a question and know that it's not going to sit there for like 2 or 3 days. It's going to be noticed and it's going to be answered. And I think that's such an important thing for people to know about, because if you are in and of that moment in a space where you feel able to ask a question, you don't want to be waiting around for 2 or 3 days to get the answer. So that's so important. And starting off with something like the assessment to just help you to take just those few moments to go, actually, what are my goals? Where am I? Where am I struggling? Is so helpful in knowing how to make the most of the hub. And when you come in with just one thing, you might think that is what you really want help with. But when you do the assessment, you go, oh, actually, there's probably 2 or 3 things. And this is where just having everything that's accessible, and you don't have to commit to anything in terms of, you can just go have a look, and then you can go, oh, okay, I fancy doing that. I also think that the quest is a great place to start. So like you said, I mean, there is, and I said it as well, there is no time to start but now, because there's never a right time for any of these things. But if you start now, and if you start with that quest, I think that 7-day quest is just like a really good way of helping you get a real feel for just why have you joined and what are you going to get out of it. And it's fun. And that's the part of it that I really, really love. It's not just all, you have to do stuff and you have to be accountable. It's like, it's actually fun, and it's stuff that you realize, actually, I want to do this. And I'm looking forward to, what's happening tomorrow and the next day. So yeah, I think it's great. And it's a trial. So here's the thing, folks, you've nothing to lose. You might as well try it and have a go.
Absolutely. So wonderful to have you. Thank you so much, Vicky. It's been a pleasure. And that means, we're just going to wrap up. If you have any questions, or if you want to know a bit more about the hub, just leave it in the comments. And we look forward to having you, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Have a great day,
Take
folks.
care.
Bye-bye.